On page 80, it states, quote, everything bad that you ever believed about yourself is false. It was just the judging play of the conditioned mind, just a figment of your imagination, unquote. Earlier on page 42, it quotes, when you see through what the conditioned mind body thinks things mean, in particular, its judgments of good and bad, you awaken to your true nature as peace and oneness with the spiritual essence of all life. That's profound right there. And that's kind of what you just went over. A lot of people skip that.
Well, Ed, you really have honed in on the central insight, which is so radically different from what we grow up in our culture to assume. We identify with our mind. We think our mind is who we are. We think the things that pop up into our mind are true. We're taught through school to think that what our mind constructs as an interpretation of the world, and we're taught different ideas and what they call is knowledge. We think it's knowledge which is truth. It's knowledge which is like as it were a copy of reality, a mirror of reality. But what I discovered, first of all, in my deep investigations into learning and the nature of human knowledge, is that it's not knowledge as truth. It's an interpretation of the analytical conceptual mind. And even in practical fields, our knowledge is not a copy of reality. It's not truth. It may often, in particularly, as I say, in practical fields, it may have some provisional instrumental value. It may kind of be workable in various contexts, and that's how we come up with in the physical material world that we live in. And certain things do work the way we define them to work. But even in those fields, that kind of conceptual knowledge is never the whole story. But especially in more of the general, my feeling about me and my thoughts about the world and what it's like and what people are like, all these kinds of, what we think is our knowledge of me and the world around me. That's not knowledge at all in the sense of truth. It's just a perspective, a point of view that we've constructed through our conditioning and our programming since our babyhood, and growing up in a particular family context. And then, of course, going through school, not just the things we were taught out of the curriculum in school, but things that we concluded about ourselves and about life just by the nature of the experience of schooling. We drew all sorts of conclusions about who I am, what I'm like, am I good, am I bad, am I adequate, am I successful, am I a failure? A million thoughts and conclusions we draw about ourselves and the world, which we assume to be true. And yet they're not truth at all. And so it's, as you say, that we can come to see that what the mind is presenting, and it presents it without us even going to look for it. Most people will recognize that my mind just runs, all the time in my waking hours. It's just, I don't know, the thoughts are just coming. And that kind of automatic flow of the conceptual mind, we think is who we are. And we think that's our life, and we think it's truth. It's not at all. It's not who we are, because we've just seen that we're actually the awareness that notices thoughts as they pop up. They pop up, they pop up, they pop up. We're the observer, actually. If we can just notice that the thoughts are running, and notice from time to time, question them, as I just described a few minutes ago, we can start to notice our thoughts and question whether we know for certain that they're true or not. And we start to notice not only that we can't show that they're true, but also we increasingly realize I'm the awareness that's noticing. I can look at my thoughts. I'm not the thoughts. And this is a huge liberation. This is a huge step of a kind of the spiritual awakening, of the awakening of the essence of who you are as the peace-filled observing awareness, because you can notice your thoughts. And the ones that are particularly troubling, you can look at them and notice there's no way you can know that they're true. But even in general, you begin to realize that you're not your thoughts that are flowing all the time. You're the observer of them. Another thing that your listeners can do, Ed, to experience that little kind of separation between the awareness that you are and the thoughts that pop up, is to just stop for a second and ask themselves this simple question: I wonder what the next thought to pop up in my mind will be. And then we don't
Yeah.
like silence.
Yeah.
We don't like silence in interviews, I know. But I just pause long enough, hopefully, to give people a chance, or they can try it after the interview, to just stop and ask themselves, I wonder what the next thought to pop up in my mind will be. And some very unexpected thought, many times, will just pop into the mind. And often this helps people to really notice, wow, I could feel that space. There was me looking, watching, and then this thought popped up, and they get this real tangible kind of a sense that, yeah, actually, yeah, I can see I'm not the thoughts. I'm here noticing them. Then, of course, yes, we are, just because of that habit habit of living, we're going to get caught up in them again and again. But as people read through my book, I give them lots of experiences as they read the book. I encourage them to read the book over and over, and they will increasingly find this sense of peaceful presence of who they are that's more and more noticeably there, this contentedness that's there, noticing their life unfold, noticing the thoughts that come up, noticing the intuitions that come up, following those, taking action in the world, being in relationship, but all with an increasingly peaceful background sense, a grounded sense that I'm here, unflapped, unflappable, the observer of my life's unfolding.